Well, guys, it's an absolute pleasure. I'm talking to a band that I've been following quite a while. It's a band called Enforcer. I'm speaking to the guitarist and vocalist, Olof. Good evening from Australia and good morning from wherever you're from.
Thank you very much. Good morning, good evening, good day.
Good day. I've got to say, you guys just recently brought out an album called Far Beyond. Now, let's talk about that. You guys were basically starting to write this, and then you went on tour with Overkill, but then you came back to complete it with the vocals, and also you and your brother did the mastering and the producing. I like to ask, how did that go in a collaboration with you and your brother, and also with the darker sound and a darker approach compared to the other albums that you guys had? Was that something that needs to be recognised? Because people are saying to me that the 80s and the 70s sound is not there anymore. Now we're in a new millennium, we're in the 15th year of the new millennium. A new approach has started to create in the metal world. But Far Beyond, for me, is a great album. But let's just talk about that. How was that for you guys, just to go on tour, come back, and then complete the album?
Actually, we had some sort of we had a deadline for the album before the tour. Actually, we did it's just a few days before we went off on that tour. We did a final master. However, we felt when we were on the tour listening to the stuff that there's some minor details that we need to get fixed. So we pushed it a little bit and took a few days when we got back and finished everything. So it was basically done before we went off.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was.
What did you say about those fans that not only have approached me, but you probably heard it in your career, that the 80s sound or the 70s sound has gone, that era of music is gone, newer bands are coming out, can't last in the music world, so to speak. What do you say about that? Because I see new bands popping up everywhere around the world, not just Australia, but over in Europe and over in America. They do have a unique sound. They might capture the influence from the 70s and the 80s, but we don't live in the 80s and the 70s anymore. We live in today. But the sound is definitely there.
Well, I would say that the era is definitely gone. This is a completely new thing that we are doing, I would say. Just because we are a band that's not influenced by any modern crap band, neo metal and shit like that, it doesn't really make us any back-looking band. We look forward all the time, aiming forward, pushing things. Trying to evolve as much as we can, still without losing, the good songs or the atmosphere. So I would say that this is the new thing. What you say about the sound? I don't know. We really don't aim to have a typical 80s sound or shit like that. We aim to have a classic, timelessly great sounding record.
Exactly.
With lots of dynamics, lots of variations, lots of reverb and shit like that to build this sort of atmosphere that we want to mediate with the music.
Yeah. One thing I like about Far Beyond is, and for those who have just listened to our show just recently, Enforcer have a sound of those great bands from the 80s, like Metallica, Iron Maiden, Megadeth, so beyond. That's what I capture. But as saying that, they're not replicating that type of band. They are Enforcer. They brought a new band out called Far Beyond. It is a different approach. It's a darker album than the previous album. And 10 songs are on the album. I want to say, man, what a splendid album. You got Far Beyond, which is the title track off that album. Plus, you do have other songs that has really kicked me in the pants, especially the instrumental song that's in the halfway point of the album. The last single on the album, definitely a splendid anthem song that should finish a concert, mind you. Yeah,
Huh?
the last song on the album, Far Beyond, should be an anthem to close the concerts when you're on tour. That's the way I see it.
Mask of Red Death. Yeah, yeah. It turned out really, really great. Yeah.
Yeah, because basically with everything that's on this album, like Destroyer, the first song off the album, when I first listened to it, I thought, hey, Destroyer is the Kiss album that came out in 1976. Hand in hand, I'm a massive Kiss fan. But no, the sound that came out of it, very fresh, very new, very unique. Another song that came off the album, Undying Evil, which is a lyric video just been released on YouTube. That really kicked me in the pants, and you knocked that one out of the ballpark.
That's great, man.
Yeah. But I want to ask, how long did the concept of it all come together? I mean, we just spoke just earlier on, but how did the whole concept, did you have a vision? Did you have to come back after tour to start refining, retuning, because you took the ball in your own hand to produce this album because you know the quality sound this band creates. But this album, I will say it again, has a darker feel to it.
So basically, what should I answer now about the darker feel or how?
Yeah, just the whole feel of the album, yeah, and basically the approach, because what I got out of this album,
Yeah.
it was a darker album compared to the previous album. Also, you producing it, you took the ball in your own hand. You know the sound of what Enforcer is all about.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, the idea with it was, we were really, really happy with it, with Death by Fire production, like what way we were going with the band. We felt that we felt really confident about the style and the way things were progressing. And so we were like, we wanted to do sort of the same thing. We just wanted to develop in all aspects, doing heavier songs, heavier, faster at the same time without losing ourselves in some sort of way. About the darker stuff, lyrically, I would say that lyrically it's about the same that Death by Fire. On Death by Fire, we wanted to, as well as we sort of wanted to streamline the music into something that didn't, we wanted to do our thing to 100%. And I think that came the way of writing a little bit more of that type of lyrics came with the sort of streamlining thing about the band. You always got to stand out. You always got to do what you do best, I guess. Also, we wanted to take that a few steps further on this record. And if it turned out to be darker, yeah, sort of,
yeah,
could agree. But it was not very intentionally. It was just like we just wanted to get rid of all the rest,
yeah.
I would say also lyrically that in the beginning of the career, like I said at some point, lyrically it was very much about, even though it was covered in words, but the actual meanings of the lyrics were more sort of, living wild, screwing girls kind of stuff like this, more that kind of stuff. But at the same time as when you get older and you suddenly, you experience all of that kind of stuff, it's not really interesting anymore.
Yeah.
So we sort of wanted to have a little bit darker approach on the lyrics as well, just naturally.
The album's been out for a couple of weeks now, or a few weeks now. Are you happy with the reports you've been getting your end of the world about the album so far?
The response from the fans has been tremendously great. Over the top. Actually, I never expected a reaction like this. When you're doing something, when you're recording, or when you're into a album session, you don't really think much about what people will think about it. You're just so close and working towards something that you have in your mind all the time. You don't really focus on it, but once you get distance to it, then it gets out and you see the reactions. It's really great.
Yeah, and all credit to this album. It's one of the splendid albums in the first half of 2015. You got a lot of new bands bringing out new music, and also you got a lot of these great bands that's been around for quite a few years, like Nightwish is bringing out an album in a couple of weeks. Have listened to a couple of songs already, and that's going to be a crackerjack of an album. But, as saying that, your record label partner, Overkill, brought out an awesome album out last year, and I wish they'd come to Australia. But before we get on to you guys doing any plans of touring, I want to ask, as a fan perspective, do you think bands judge the new material not just solely on the album side of things, but when those songs get played live?
Sorry, I didn't get the question.
I would say that again. Do you think the fans solely judge the new material, not on the album itself, but also getting those songs played live as well?
I really don't get it. Are we talking about Enforcer or other bands now?
No, you guys.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think when the fans listen to the new material, do they solely judge that not only by the album side of things, but when those songs get played live as well? Because from what I know, just by hearing you guys, this album, Far Beyond, there's a lot of songs on there that should be in the set list.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah. Well, yeah. Of course, I mean, we wouldn't do any songs at all that wasn't meant to be played live. In the end, we're a live band, and that's how I enjoy both playing and listening to music mostly. You can't play everything. We'll see how people receive this first, I guess. But for now, we picked out 3-4 songs of the new album that we're gonna start to play with live. Until people really picked up the album, and then we can probably go and add in some more, I would say. But yeah, we'll see about it. It's playing live is always about. It's a communication between the band and the audience, and see what works and what doesn't work. And
yeah.
So, if it was up to us, we would probably only play new stuff. But people want to hear older stuff too. They want to.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be a good mixture. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mixed match because most of it now, when they go to concerts, the casual fans are not really the hardcore fans anymore. You do have the hardcores there that want to hear the newer and the rarer stuff that never been played, but you got the casuals that want the classics and probably a single now and again. But
so now when we did 4 albums and fuck, we have like 40 songs or something. That's pretty incredible. Just thinking of it.
Yeah.
But then you got to start to choose as well. In the beginning, it was more let's just play everything we have. But now you have to choose a little bit more deliberately, and we'll see. I always want to have all the songs fresh so we can pull out some oldie or something if we just feel like it.
And not only that, people nowadays will be fair, they don't necessarily buy albums anymore. They buy singles from iTunes. If there's a favourite song on iTunes of that album, especially Far Beyond, they'll just buy that single. They won't buy the album, and it is a bit down. I buy the album. I don't buy the single.
Yeah, my entire thing of this is that as a musician, I would say that we rather write albums than songs. Of course, every song has a stand for itself in some way, but it's also like a part of a bigger context. And I think that's really, really important. I write albums to be enjoyed from the first second to the last in a flow.
Yeah.
And that's how I would like the music to be enjoyed as well. Because there's definitely a thought between the songs and how they are constructed to work together as well.
Well, that leads me to this question that I want to ask you. When you're growing up, and even being in Enforcer, the lead singer, when you listen to material nowadays, do you rather listen to it on the old vinyl side of things, CD, or the digital download that you got from iTunes, just to hear the final sound, like especially for you guys when you record it?
Yeah. we've done different masters for all the mediums, for CD, for vinyl, and for online listening. So it's just like everything is adjusted to sound good. But however, I just like this kind of flow of listening to a record like in two acts. It's like act A, act B, and then in the between you have a little breathe. It's just like, you know, an opera or something, you know, but a little bit simplified. But that's sort of how the thought behind it is from the beginning.
Yeah, I tend to buy the album on vinyl and CD. I get the best of both.
Yeah.
I don't go for singles. I used to when they used to be on the vinyl, but not anymore. They don't put singles on vinyls anymore. Not like they used to. But let's go on to the touring. What's the plans now for you guys? You're doing many festivals in Europe this year?
We're working on a festival schedule right now. We have like a 5, 6, 7 weekend festivals in the summer. So that's it in Europe, and then we have we're also planning a quite big European tour in September, October, maybe out in November, and do some North American dates in the beginning of the year. Then try to squeeze in Asia, maybe Australia, and South America in between all this. That's the idea. And then we'll see how things go.
It does cost a lot for bands to come to Australia now and again, especially if they want to bring their full production over, and it does take hours to get here by plane, hours. But if you can get down here, we'll be here waiting for you. So it's all in your
hands. Awesome. I've been in touch with a little bit with some friends I have down there trying to do something.
Yeah.
You know, I know the circumstances are a bit different than we will sort of turn down the expectations a little bit, but just the idea of coming down to Australia and play would be great, you know. So hopefully with this album we're gonna come down to Australia. I can nearly promise that with this album touring cycle we will get down to Australia as well.
Never say never. There have been bands that never been here for 40 years at all.
I know.
But
I've been in touch with so many people now, and we like seems realistically at least that we can pull it off.
Well, I can probably get you on talk to someone to get you on Soundwave. That's a festival down here, but we'll see how we go.
Yeah, that'd be the best, I guess.
Yeah, we'll see where to go.
Great festival, I've heard. I have many friends who play there.
Yeah. But what I want to go back to Far Beyond, what I reckon this album will do in Australia, if the fans here hasn't really got it yet, the younger generation, the younger kids will get this. They will get it because this is the style they like. If they're in the metal, I should say, they like it. They want to hear something new. They don't want the old boring crap. And you guys ain't boring. I'm not saying you are. You guys are a breath of fresh air for me, right? But the younger kids here will get inspired. Hopefully they can pick it up and play it on their turntable or in their car stereo of their parents' car. Not necessarily in their own bedroom, but in their parents' car, because my job is to get the music out there to the fans of the younger generation, because I reckon they're the next ones that need to hear these type of stuff.
Yeah. No, I mean, in my eyes, heavy metal is the music of the youth, and that's when you're really enthusiastic about things. We've seen that it's sort of seen with really young people, at least here in Europe, and some places have really, the scene has exploded within teenagers. This kind of music, and that really makes me happy to see, because that they have the future. All the older guys will always compare you to whatever they think, or what they saw when they were kids. But we're forming a new generation of metalheads here, and I'm sort of proud to be part of that.
Yeah, and we're still young too, mind you. I'm only 36, so we're still young too.
Yeah, yeah, me too, I guess. But there's I'm 29, but I already see difference to the fans. Hey, the fans here in Europe could be that they can be like 12, 13 or something.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to gigs now. I'm seeing 5-year-olds going to gigs, so it's all good.
Yeah,
with their parents.
Cool,
But guys, Far Beyond is out now via Nuclear Blast. It's out now. in our stores in Australia. If you haven't got it, get to JB Hi-Fi, get to wowhd.com, get to Clarity Records, go to the other one in Melbourne called Radical Records and Dandenong. All of them. Go to all the record stores and buy this album. I recommend it. It's out now. Look for the single Destroyer, and also the lyric video that I mentioned earlier that came out just recently via YouTube is a song that I cannot get out of my head too much, is Undying Evil, because that is a classic song. Also, get on to the last single, because that is the best song off the album, I reckon, to close it out. But Olif, it's all the time we got for, man, and we've got over 20 minutes already. But any last things you want to say to the fans down under?
We hopefully we can come down and have some good shows down there, and we hope to see as many of you as possible then.
Yeah.
So until later, yeah.
All right, we got to play you. We got to play Destroyer for you guys, so it's all good on our show.
Cool.
So we cannot wait. All right, Ollie, we'll talk very, very shortly in the near future, and hopefully all the success in Europe while you're on tour.
Thanks a lot, man.
No worries, mate. Catch you later, man.
Catch you later.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Bye. You too. Bye.